Text tonight. We're going to be looking at a couple of miracles that Jesus did, recorded in the book of John. These two parables have a lot of similarities. One, both miracles took place near what was called the Pool of Siloam. Both miracles took place on a Sabbath day. Both miracles are recorded only by John. But that's where the similarities end in these two miracles, and what actually is portrayed out at the end of it is both ends of the spectrum of human behavior. In the one, we read about a blind man that was born blind. And Jesus was walking near the Pool of Siloam, and anyway, he had talked to him about being healed. And it says, now as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, saying, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but the works of God should be revealed in him. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he'd said these things, he spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And he told him to go wash in the Pool of Siloam. So he went and washed and came back seeing. To me, this shows that the man had some faith. He followed through with what Jesus told him to do. Therefore, the neighbors of this man who had previously been blind, some said, this is he, and others said, no, it is someone like him. And he answered and said, a man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes and said to me, go to the Pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. And in this, we can't read the whole miracle here due to time restrictions, but the Jews reacted to this in an odd way. Instead of being amazed and in awe of this miracle that had happened, they were more concerned about saying that Jesus was not a righteous man because he healed this man on the Sabbath. Well, he got to talking, they got to quizzing the blind man further about it, and they kept asking him how Jesus healed him, and he kept telling them. And finally he said, I've already told you. Aren't you listening? And he asked them, he said, do you want to believe also? And they said they believed in Moses. And they said that this man was a sinner. Well, this man replied to them and said to them, while this is a marvelous thing that you do not know where he is from, yet he has opened my eyes. Now we know that God does not hear sinners, but if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears him. Since the world began, it has been unheard of anyone open the eyes of one born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. I love reading about the miracles of Jesus, and I love especially reading the ones where the people, their reactions and you think about this blind man had been born blind. He had never seen anything. You could imagine how he would just want to drink in everything. I wouldn't even want to go to sleep for a while. I'd want to just look and see everything, the colors of the world. It would have been such a wonderful blessing, and this man received it that way. He was grateful. But then we turn over and we look at chapter 5, and we read about a paralytic that was laying by the Pool of Siloam. And Jesus walked by and he asked him a question. He said, do you want to be made well? The sick man answered him and said, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred, while I'm coming another steps down before me. Jesus said, rise up and take your bed and walk. Immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. And that day was a Sabbath, and the Jews therefore said to him who was cured, it is a Sabbath, it's unlawful for you to carry your bed. He answered and said, He who made me well told me to take up my bed and walk. And they asked him, Who is the man who said to you to take up your bed and walk? But the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you. The man departed and went and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well. After this happened, too, it made it difficult for Jesus to preach and teach in the cities, because he had to withdraw to the wilderness because of the Jews being so intent on persecuting him for healing on the Sabbath. Actually, too, when you get to studying this further, you realize he didn't do anything wrong healing on the Sabbath. It was the traditions of the Pharisees that they had formed. It says in the Bible, in a commentary I read, it said by this time the Pharisees had developed 39 different ways of what they considered work on the Sabbath day. These were traditions of the Pharisees. So Jesus didn't sin. He never sinned. But the amazing thing about both these miracles, the Jews were not in awe of the miracles that took place. They focused more on trying to convict Jesus of transgressing the Sabbath. They totally missed the mark. Jesus said at another time, those people had eyes to see, but they do not see, and ears to hear, but they do not hear. That's what these people did. Here a blind man was teaching these people who had eyes that could see, but they were actually blind. Sometimes when I read this, I wonder about myself and my spiritual state. I wonder which spectrum I'm closest to. Am I closest to the gratitude that was shown by the blind man, or am I closest to the ingratitude shown by the paralytic? You know, it's amazing to me, this man, Jesus even knew that this man had been in that state 38 years. Could you imagine not being able to walk or take care of yourself 38 years, and then someone come along and make you well to where you could be independent? And said this man went into the temple. You know, he was totally independent this part. You would think that he would be so appreciative and so loyal to Jesus, but what did he do? He turned around and betrayed him. It was odd to me in reading this that he went to the Jews like they were his friends, but he had told Jesus he had been there 38 years, but no one had assisted him to get into the pool. The Jews never helped him. Jesus came by, and the first time he saw him, he healed him. So I think, you know, as we self-examine ourselves, we always need to be sure we're on the end of the spectrum of the blind man. We need to realize how much Jesus has done for us, what he gave for us on that sacrifice he made on that cross, the terrible death that he died. Keeney's been teaching a lesson about the Garden of Gethsemane, you know, and it kind of breaks your heart. You can tell the humanity of Jesus. He knew the brutality of that death he was going to have to face. And he did pray that if it was possible for that cup, that he would not have to take that cup, but not my will, but your will be done. And Jesus knew exactly what he was fixing to face, but he did it. And how we could do anything but try to be as obedient as we can, as appreciative as we can. And also a person that hasn't been baptized, hasn't accepted Christ's salvation. You know, it's kind of hard once you explain this to them how they can put it off. And you know, there's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot more people that are lost just due to procrastination. And, you know, you knock doors and a lot of times you'll hear them say, I'm not interested. And you just are amazed when you walk away. How can you say that about the gospel and what Jesus did for you? So if haven't partaken of this salvation, you need to examine yourself and see you've got a wonderful opportunity to change your life forever, have the benefits of salvation that Jesus made possible. if you are a Christian and you haven't lived up to the standards that you know that Christ would have us to, He's made it possible for you to come and express those and confess and to be prayed for and to be cleansed again and made whole. So if you have need of any of these things that we can be of help, we ask that you come forward now as we stand and sing.